Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam Cox here, and in this episode, it's a bit different in the sense that this wasn't a real client I was working with. It was essentially that I watched a TV show called Tales from the Loop. Now, this is a thing that I saw on Amazon Prime, and being a hypnotist, what I noticed is that a lot of the storylines based in this TV show facilitated a hypnotic equivalent. There's certain things that you can do in science fiction that you clearly can't do in real life, but you can do in hypnosis. And in this particular session, I basically created a hypnosis session based on one of the episodes from Tales from the Loop called The Echosphere. Now, in this episode, the grandfather finds out basically that he's going to die. And upon hearing this news, he then takes his grandson, Cole, to this rusted, spherical, almost looks like the Death Star, but kind of empty inside. And he tells him to shout into the echosphere. And the character, Cole, shouts hello, and then he hears 6 echoes. And effectively, he finds out that represents how long he's going to live. And then towards the end right at the end, in fact, of the TV show, after his grandfather's dead, he then goes back to the echosphere, shouts hello into it, and then gets a real snapshot glimpse as to what those kind of 6 echoes of the future are like. He gets to see his future. Now, time is something that is used a lot in hypnosis and NLP. You might have heard of things like timeline therapy. You might have heard of pseudo-orientation in time or future pacing. Or past life regression or forms of regression. So time is used a lot in clinical hypnotherapy. And I thought this would be an excellent episode for those people that have actually seen the show to actually set the hypnotherapy in this universe. So you wake up in a kind of a strange town, but the town based in the loop. You're in this kind of strange house, but then you inhabit the body of a small child. You go to the echosphere, and more importantly, you get to see a future. And this is really powerful because in personal development and in therapy, quite often, it's the emotion that comes from a time perspective that can create a change. So if someone's addicted, for example, to a particular substance or maybe food, for example, they can't see any impact of that in the moment. But if you spread that over, 20 years, that can have a devastating impact on that individual. And quite often when I work with clients, if they are, overweight, for example, and they've already got health issues, I get them to visit a future where they might have heart disease or type 2 diabetes, so that the emotional impact of seeing that undesirable future can actually fuel a change in behavior in the current perspective. So in this particular episode that you're about to hear, you get to visit the world, the universe from Tales from the Loop, as the main protagonist of this particular episode, Cole, but it's used ambiguous language. You're just a child, so it could represent any gender. And you get to see your future and then inhabit those futures. You get to take a sneak peek, if you like, into your future based on your current timeline and projection of what the future looks like. And then you get to see what are you happy with that, and also what you would want to change. So that's the concept here from this particular episode. No client was involved. It's literally me talking into a microphone, but using the framework, if you like, the model of what happened in that episode to create a brand new therapeutic framework. I hope you enjoy it. You're going to hear about a minute or two of relaxing music, but I'd recommend you turn off any devices that could distract you. Find a comfortable place. This is going to be more effective if you listen on headphones rather than just through a speaker, and try and do it at a time where you won't be distracted, because there will be some interesting insights that you'll get from this particular session. And relax and enjoy. And as you breathe in, I want you to get a sense of relaxation and calm. Then, as you breathe out, just relax the muscles in and around your eyes and close your eyes now. Use the power of your imagination to imagine that as you breathe in, you're breathing in a color that represents relaxation to you. Whatever your intuition tells you is exactly the right color to choose. Breathing in that perhaps warm color of relaxation, allowing it to enable your whole body to just relax. And as you breathe out, just imagine a different color leaving, enabling you to see any tension, anxiety, or stress just leaving your body. And with each and every breath, you're breathing in this warm feeling of relaxation and breathing out any tension, any stress, any anxiety whatsoever. I want you to imagine that you're in a countryside town, somewhere not too busy, away from a city. And I want you to imagine perhaps a bungalow or a cottage. And I want you to imagine that there is the most comfortable chair in that particular house. I want you to imagine climbing on that chair and sinking in to the feeling of comfort as you relax in that chair. Now, you know you're in a strange house and you know you're in a strange town, but equally, it's a nice day outside, blue skies, and at the moment you just get an overall sense of calm and tranquility as you breathe in that feeling of relaxation, and as you breathe out, releasing tension bit by bit. As you relax on that comfortable chair, I want you to notice that as you breathe in, those eyelids, those eyes, all tension in and around the eyes just completely and totally relax. Now focus on the muscles in your forehead. The same muscles that would perhaps create expressions like concern or surprise. Become aware of those muscles in your forehead. And as you breathe in that feeling of relaxation, become aware of that tension. And then on the out breath, release that tension now. That's it. Allow that feeling of relaxation to pass into your jaw. Become very aware of any and all muscles around your jaw. Notice if your teeth are clenched together, and allow any tension to just imagine it's melting away, just like ice would on a sunny day. Become aware of any tension in and around the mouth, perhaps your tongue, perhaps your lips, your cheeks. Just allow any and all muscles in the face to just relax. And as you breathe in that feeling of relaxation, imagine that it is going down your windpipe into your lungs, enabling you to go deeper and deeper and deeper relaxed. Feeling any tension and relaxation around your neck and your shoulders to just unwind and relax. Allowing it to spread down your arms to the very tips of your fingers. As you breathe in, imagine your lungs filling with this warm color that represents relaxation, allowing your internal organs to just relax, enabling your heart to relax, your lungs to relax, your diaphragm to relax. Every muscle in your body is going deeper and deeper relaxed. That's right. And very soon I'm going to count down from 5 to 1, and I want you to imagine that you're going to fall asleep on that comfortable chair in that small town, in that strange building that you don't know. And let's do that now. 5, getting an overall sense of calm, tranquility, and drowsiness. 4, feeling like you're about to yawn. That's it. 3, eyelids getting heavier and heavier. 2 and 1, and just feeling like there you are, falling asleep on that chair in that house. And I want you to imagine that inside that dream that you're having while asleep, you can imagine what it would be like to be a small child. And as a small child, I want you to imagine that you're doing what small children do. You're out in the sunshine, exploring whatever might be around you at that time. Only on this particular day, you've agreed to meet a grandparent. Someone that you know, someone that you trust. I want you to imagine that you're there out in the countryside, noticing that it is blue skies, noticing a few fluffy white clouds. And as you look up into that blue sky, I want you to notice that the fluffy white clouds are doing something strange and unusual. The fluffy white clouds are actually spelling out a word in the sky made of fluffy white clouds. Now you're in the body of a child, and you're looking up at the clouds, and sometimes as children we look up at clouds and they make shapes like dinosaurs or animals. But right now, the fluffy white clouds are spelling out a word, and that word is relax. R-E-L-A-X. Relax. And each and every time you read the word relax, you feel relaxed. It doesn't matter if you spell it R-E-L-A-X, you relax. And every time you read it, you relax. Going deeper and deeper relax just by reading a word in the sky. And now, that fluffy white cloud that spells relax is now shifting and morphing into a number, and that number is 998. Now, there is a logical, analytical part of your mind that can't understand how it can be that there are clouds in the sky counting a number, and the number descends by 1 each time. 998 becomes 997. And that child mind looking up at the clouds, seeing those fluffy white clouds, counting down now to 996. A few moments later, 995. And it occurs to that logical, analytical part of your mind that these clouds are now a countdown timer. And I want you to allow the logical, analytical part of your mind to be transfixed, mesmerized, completely obsessed with the numbers counting down. Allow it to continue counting down the clouds in the sky as a curious part splits away from that part. Still a child walking away, and you can turn around and see that version, that childlike version of you, still there looking up at the clouds, counting down one by one by one. And at this point, this curious child meets up with this elderly grandparent. There is clearly a clear bond between you and the elderly grandparent, and you feel good in this young child body. You can feel the warmth of the sun in your skin. Maybe there's a gentle breeze, but you get an overall sense of curiosity, of intrigue. Why is it that this grandparent has asked to go on a walk in the countryside with you? That's right. And just while your grandparent is looking around, deciding on what to do and where to go, I want you to notice that there is a dead deer just there on the floor. And it clearly hasn't been dead for too long, but it's definitely dead, because in your hand you have a stick and you're just poking the deer with a stick, noticing that it doesn't move, giving you a sense that there is something final about death, that as you poke the stick onto the deer does not move at all. Allow that thought to just rest with you as you go hand in hand with that grandparent on a walk away from the town towards more countryside. I want you to notice some of the things around you as you go on that walk. One of the things you noticed is just there in the background, almost like it's always been there, are large concrete towers. Three of them just there, up in the sky in the background, with blue lights in the shape of a V at the very top of those. That's right. You notice on the floor as you walk on a grassy area, shapes almost that look like UFOs. Except these aren't UFOs, these are on the floor, and it becomes clear to you that these are ventilation panels. Ventilation panels that allow oxygen and air to pass through to a secretive underground company doing mysterious scientific type of things. And you continue to walk away, further away from anywhere else. This grandparent clearly knows that they are taking you somewhere, and they're taking you somewhere for a reason. You pass trees, pass different things, and then, over in the distance, you then see what looks like a very large metal football. It's big in shape. It's a mysterious spherical structure. There is a lake, a very shallow lake, just to the left of the structure as you get closer. And as you get closer to it, you notice that this is a man-made structure. And you know that to be true because you can see letters and numbers on the side of this structure. There is a worn-out M, and then a more visible N, a dash, and then 770. Maybe it's a serial number, maybe it's some kind of code. As you get closer, being led by this grandparent, the grandparent explains that this structure, this large brown metal structure, this spherical structure, with panels missing, almost like windows to reveal the blue sky, this does something. The grandparent asks you to just shout into this spherical structure. And as you do it, you hear several echoes. You shout hello into this metal object, and you can distinctly hear several echoes of that same thing, except the voice seems to change with each echo. Almost like the age of what comes back is getting older and older and older. You look to the grandparent and ask what it means. And the grandparent explains that each of these echoes represents a future part of your life. He asks you to do it again, and this time to count how many times you can hear the echo responding. And I want you to look into this spherical structure, seeing a few bits of gaps in the spherical structure where you can see the blue skies behind, and you shout hello, and then pay attention to how many echoes you can hear and feel like you're counting them on a hand or two. That's right. As it finishes, the grandparent informs you that this means you're going to have a long life. And it feels good to know that you're going to have this long life. But what's more important to you is the quality of that long life. Not just how long it is, but what you do with that life. And I want you to look into this spherical object one last time. Shout hello, and as you do so, notice that when you hear the first response, I want you to imagine that time stands still. And I want you to imagine going forward in the future to a key milestone, perhaps a few years into the future. You are no longer there in this spherical object. You are now in your own future, several years in the future, at a key moment of your life. I want you to inhabit that version of you. Feel what it feels like to be perhaps 5 years older. Notice what's the same, but also notice what has changed. Maybe where you live has changed. Maybe your career is in a different direction. Maybe you've learned something new. But in this future version of you, I want you to pay attention to what you like, but also what you're not happy with. I want you to reflect on how you feel in that moment. And then suddenly you hear another echo of hello. And suddenly you find yourself perhaps another 5 or 10 years in the future. You now inhabit that version of you. I want you to wonder what age you are right now. Maybe what you're doing, where you are. Think about your friends, your family, your relationships then at that point in the future. Get an overall sense of what's going well. What gives you a sense of pride and gratitude, but equally what it feels like is missing. Get an overall sense, a clue that you're glimpsing into the future. And then suddenly you hear another hello as an echo. And again you find yourself perhaps 5 or 10 years in the future. Notice a pattern, a trajectory. Where are you heading? What is your frustrations? What should have changed but hasn't changed? And what has changed and you're happy about that change? How do you spend your time? How do you spend your working time? How do you spend your leisure time? Again, what do your family look like? Your friends? Your primary relationship? What's good? But also, what's missing? What bothers you? What doesn't sit right? What perhaps do you regret in this part of your life? And then again you hear it, another echo of hello, sounding older. And again, you're 5 or 10 years in the future. You're inside that version of you and you can feel that your body is different. Perhaps you feel heavier or lighter, less mobile, more rigid. Maybe you're stronger, maybe you're weaker. Get an overall sense of what your body's like. Where are you living right now? What part of the world? Is your house different? Are you living somewhere else? Perhaps there are children, maybe grandchildren. What does it feel like? What kind of parent are you? What kind of friend are you? What kind of partner are you? What gives you joy at that time in your life? What are the important things? And when you think back, I want you to think about what's missing. What did you wish you could do earlier in your life but just didn't do? Get an overall sense of possibility. Pride perhaps about what's good, gratitude of what you really appreciate, but also reflection. What's good, what's missing? And then again you hear it, another hello. That same echo that you heard before, but now you're another 5 or 10 years in the future. Again, calculate your age, just roughly. Maybe you can see a reflection of yourself in some kind of mirror or piece of glass. Get an overall sense again. How is your health? How are your habits? What is good? What do you really like about yourself? What have you accomplished or achieved that really makes you feel proud of your own life? And what things do you wish you could have or should have done differently? I want you to get an overall sense about what you value most at this time in your life. What's the most important thing for you? Think about your family. Think about your leisure time. As you think about yourself, what do you admire? What qualities do you admire most in yourself? What kind of person are you at that particular age? What is good? And what could be improved? And at this age, I want you to think of what are the kind of things that you did throughout your life that made you feel how you feel right now? And is there things that you would rather have done differently? Habits you would like to have changed maybe 10 or 20 years ago? Things you would have liked to have done differently? More time doing certain things or spending it with certain people? What stopped you doing the things you would have really have wanted to have done? Get an overall sense, a sense of perspective. You don't notice a tree growing because it changes so slowly. But when you visit someone that has a tree, you can notice it increasing in size in different stages. Sometimes perspective enables you to see time differently. And then again, you hear another hello echoing back at you. And again, you jump another 5 or 10 years in the future. You're older now. There's certain things that you now can't do, even if you'd like to. There's certain things that perhaps you miss doing. Things that you enjoyed in your youth that perhaps you just don't or can't do anymore. But equally, you found new things. I want you to get an overall sense of how people perceive you. What are you known for? What do you value at this point? I want you to look at your health. How healthy are you at this point in your life? I want you to get an overall sense of what are your finances like, your income. Get an overall sense of your relationships, friendships, family. I want you to look at your life in all different ways. What do you do for fun? What do you do for your leisure time, recreation? What are your hobbies? What are you learning? What do you enjoy most at this particular age? And what do you wish you could change? Scan for any feelings of regret or pain. And then think, what was it that created these undesirable things? And then you hear one last hello. And that final hello is you towards the end of your life. Perhaps with only weeks, months, or maybe only a year remaining. And you know that's the case because there is no more echo. There is no more hellos. So this is clearly towards the end of your life. I want you to appreciate that from this point, things that were important many, many years ago seem to have lacked their importance. And other things have increased in importance. And I want you to notice what's not so important anymore and what has dramatically increased in importance. Who matters most to you at this point in your life? And there may not be a specific person, but it might be a role. It might be a life partner, a confidant, maybe a child, someone that you can mentor. I want you to get an overall sense of not just who is important, but what is important. What really is valuable to you at this point in your life. And as you do so, I want you to think back of your entire life, and I want you to see it. See it pursuing and following a particular trajectory. And the main thing I want you to do is really assess whether or not you're happy with that trajectory from the perspective of you towards the end of your life. Get an overall sense as to whether or not this has been an enjoyable journey, a useful place. Are you proud of the life that you've created, the legacy that you're about to leave, the contribution that you've made? Or do you wish that you would have pursued other passions, careers, made your life different? And if so, what comes to mind? I want you to get an overall sense, a sense of perspective that you can only possibly get towards the end of your life. And the key thing to learn at that point in time are what you regret most. There are normally two main types of regrets. Things you did that you wish you didn't, and things you didn't do that you wish you did. As you look back on your entire life from then towards the end of your life, think about all those things that you did that you wish you didn't. But then also think, what are all those things I didn't do that I wish I did? And as those things come to mind, suddenly whoosh, you find yourself back in that body, a child's body. There you are, looking into an empty, metal, large sphere, feeling like you've had a glimpse at your future, an opportunity that very few people have, and yet you've seen your future. You've seen where it's heading, what you enjoy and what you don't, what you value and what you don't. And I want you to really process, knowing that you are now in this body of a child, what is important to you and what isn't. Imagine if you were an old, very old version of you, shouting hello into this echo sphere and not hearing anything back. Would that fill you with pride or fill you with dread? Would you be happy with the life that you've led? Or kind of wishing you did something different? And there you are, a child, taking on new information that perhaps you weren't expecting. And you don't really know what to do with that new information. So you start running back home, running all the way back, past those UFO-shaped ventilations, past those concrete pillars with the blue light V, all the way until you see someone that looks remarkably like you. You as a child looking up at clouds counting down, and it occurs to you that the logical, analytical part of you has been distracted all this time. And I want you to climb into that version of you so that this logical, analytical bit that's been suspended, distracted all this time, you're now integrated with that part. And then that combined part, the curious part and the logical part, starts going back into perhaps that bungalow, that cottage, that strange house that you just found yourself in. And as you go inside, you see a comfortable chair and you see yourself, your real self, there in that chair. And it occurs to you that the conscious part has been asleep all this time, just dreaming about being a child, shouting into a large metal spherical object, glimpsing snapshots, postcards of the future, and then climb into that version of you. So you're on that chair, inside your real body, feeling so deeply relaxed, feeling a feeling of relaxation all over your entire body. And as you do so, get an overall sense of peace, tranquility, relaxation, but most importantly, insight and perspective. Having time traveled into the future, you can get an overall sense. But with the knowledge you now have and knowing what you now know, will you steer your life in a different direction? Will it motivate you to pursue this path with even more motivation and determination? I want you to imagine that you're no longer in this chair, you're back in your own place right now, feeling relaxed with your eyes closed, breathing deeply, and very soon I'm going to count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken with an overall sense of feeling refreshed, optimistic, with a profound insight about where you want to guide your future. You will awaken with all parts returning fully in the present, with all normal sensations returning to your arms and legs, feeling refreshed and awake in this moment. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.